HSBN Today, where I'm sharing today's news from a biblical perspective. I'm Dr. Diane Hunter, and we have 4 topics today. The first one is finding freedom from cyber scams. The second one is the wildfires in Jerusalem. Third one, missionaries of justice. And the last one is Birth Mothers Day. So we'll be discussing that. So the first topic is, have you ever been cyber scammed? If you've ever been scammed at all, this will be interesting to you. In June of 2023, a woman named B was an ESL teacher, English as a second language, in the Philippines. And she saw a job ad on Facebook, and it seemed pretty legitimate. She kind of checked out the person who sent it, and she decided to apply. And it was an overseas position. It was in Thailand, and she thought, okay, it pays more. It's like $1,200 a month. It's good wages. I'm going to go for it. Well, when she arrived in Bangkok, a driver took her across the border to Myanmar, and a Chinese criminal gang captured her and forced her to scam other people online. And if she didn't meet enough of her quota, the captors would beat her. So for the next 2 years, she was trapped in these compounds, and it was horrible. And she even got sold from one scammer to another scammer. That happened twice. Then in October of 2024, just a few months ago, the International Justice Mission connected her with the Global Advance Projects, and they helped her fill out some forms and prove that she had been trafficked. This is happening all over the world, between human trafficking, labor trafficking, like she was, where people are being held basically as prisoners to do something for somebody else. And it's horrible. So anyway, the Thai authorities estimate that nearly 100,000 people are forced to work as scammers in this specific arena in the Thai-Myanmar border. Along with other nonprofits, the Global Advance Projects and the Justice Mission gives people food, water, helps them fill paperwork out, connects them with embassies, and stops, at least takes them out of this whole scam thing. 7,200 people, mostly from China, have already been repatriated back to their homelands. And another 1,700 people remain in Myanmar in camps run by ethnic militia. So in January, in Beijing, they began to push Thailand and Myanmar to crack down on the compounds. And that's why so many of the Chinese were released that had been trafficked. Thailand's government, this is how they did it. So Thailand said, this is going on, it needs to stop. And so they cut electricity, internet, and gas from the border towns where a lot of these scams were taking place. So obviously that would shake things up a bit. And they escorted people out, and they, helped them with other basic needs, immediate needs, like trauma care. I mean, if you applied for a job and went to that job and all of a sudden were a captive and imprisoned and had to do these specific things, and if you didn't, you were beat, that would mess with your mind a little bit. And so a lot of people need healing, internal healing, emotional healing, spiritual healing, just to kind of unwind from the trauma of that. And cyber criminal syndicates in Southwest Africa likely make, listen to this is astounding to me, 4.3 billion, not million, billion. I mean, to even wrap your head around the number of zeros in 1 billion, 43 point, what did I say? It's actually 0.8, 43.8 billion. I can't even, I can't even think about how much money that is. So a 2023 report found that Americans, just in America, they lost more than 12.5 billion to online fraud. And it was a 22% increase. And it was interesting because just last night, my husband got a call from the bank saying, did you make a $500 purchase to wherever? And he's like, no. So we just got scammed last night. Now, thankfully, he's tuned in. He looks at our bills. He looks at our bank statements, and he figures out when charges that we did not make are being charged. But it happens all the time. Happens all over the world. And so often the victims are trafficked through Thailand, and then they go to other countries like Myanmar, and convictions are typically rare. That's why we need to be careful. Be mindful, one, of how to approach someone if they've been victimized. They didn't sign up for this. They didn't say, yeah, I'll do it. No, they got lied to and taken. And we need to give them dignity. And we get to share then the gospel of forgiveness and hope. And that's the glory of being a believer. We get to do that. But it's also a heads up and a warning for us, just everybody listening, to be cautious online, on social media. A lot of people and situations and companies present themselves in a way that it is not true, and lies because they want to defraud you and cheat from you. So if it happens, report it, be aware, and use wisdom. Pray. And also let's pray for the people like B, who was an English teacher, an ESL teacher, and she got scammed and hurt in the process. So that leads us to our next topic, which is Jerusalem area wildfires. This is an important one because so much has gone on in Jerusalem, not just recently, over thousands of years, the last 100 years. I mean, it just continues. Why? Because Israel is God's chosen nation. The enemy knows that, and he hates it, so he continues to attack it. And so when anything like this happens, as believers, we need to be tuned in and aware. So large wildfires swept through Mateh Yehuda Regional Council, which is located west of Jerusalem. On Wednesday, it injured 21 firefighters and threatened homes in multiple towns. Well, the fire service has not yet determined officially the cause of the large blaze. Arson is not just suspected, but it has been arson for at least part of the fire. And so in the Laterne area, it's between Jerusalem and Tel Aviv. And it's not a simple matter. There's natural damages, there's human injuries, and they're currently holding 18 people for the arson. And one person was specifically caught in the act. Benjamin Netanyahu said. A large online campaign on Arabic social media accounts for this. They're stirring people up. The Palestinians set more blazes, and they're encouraging other people to do this. There's a great conflict. There are neighbors, Netanyahu says, who claim they love this land. They love it, but they're willing to burn it down, burn the people, make their point, try to get what they want. And there are other people who truly love the land and are trying so desperately to preserve it. And the logistics are that amidst the arid and hot winds of the desert, the fires raged. Thursday afternoon, 93 teams were still trying to stop the spread of the fire, and 8 square miles were consumed. So the fire authority reported that it's continuing to create firewalls and stop and protect everything. And Italy, Croatia, Greece, and France were sending planes out with water and just trying to stop it all. And visual intelligence utilized satellite imagery, and Israeli force, they contributed logistical support and Super Hercules aircrafts to try to, spread fire retardants on the flames. We know there's been a lot of conflict, and there will be throughout the end times, leading up to it and then during it. And so may we stand up against whatever is overtly going on in Jerusalem. And then just in general, we are called to pray for the peace of Jerusalem. God calls us to that. And it says we'll be blessed when we do. So not only is it an act of obedience, but it's just an act of blessing all the way around. So that's our second topic. And our third topic is Missionaries of Justice. And Lauren Easton, she arrived in Luzira Maximum Security Prison in Uganda last year. And she believed that she was called there to help the people. She had studied, she had become a lawyer. She was a missionary as a child. Her parents were missionaries. And she's like, now she wants to take what she's learned and what she has studied in the law, and she wants to bring it to a place and be a missionary there herself. And she's 25 years old. She graduated from Regent University, which is a school of law, and she's a criminal defense attorney. And she moved to Uganda in March of last year, 2024. And she began working in human rights. And the prison that she went to in Kampala, it opened in 1927. It has the capacity, so it's built for 600 inmates. But there are times when there are up to 3,000 inmates. So it's overpopulated, it's overcrowded. The prisoners awaiting trial have yellow shirts and yellow shorts. The inmates in yellow are called remandees. And the convicts, the people that already went to trial and have been convicted, are in orange. Okay, these remandees, how many innocent people are there? I mean, in America, one of the laws is that everybody deserves a fair and speedy trial. So you can't just keep someone who could be innocent because they've never gone to trial or been convicted in prison for 5 or 8 or longer years. You can't do that. But in other countries where they don't have the resources, they don't have the judges, they don't have what is needed to be able to expedite the inmates. And so lawyers are working to bring legal reforms to the country, and one of these reforms is called plea bargaining. Now, we know what that is. It's like if someone's guilty, it's like, well, we'll give you a little bit less of a sentence if you do this and do that. That's where community service comes in, and there's lots of different aspects of it. A healthy legal system opened doors for flourishing individuals, a flourishing culture, community, nation, and even a continent. We want the legal system to flourish so that everything can be on track, aligned, and in the right place. So this movement in Uganda was so successful that over a dozen other African countries have joined them. On Easton's second day at Luzera, so this new lawyer, she's a missionary there, and she's wanting to help people. And so she was assigned to this woman, and she was going to try to, get her flea bargain so she could get less time, get whatever her sentence was. And when she was interviewing the woman, the boss had accused her of stealing some money and stealing some clothes. And her name was Rose. She was a prisoner there. And she's like, okay, I'll take a plea bargain. I did it. And the lawyer could kind of tell something was off. She was really young, and she probably wasn't really guilty of everything they had accused her of. And it came down to the facts were that she wasn't. She was promised something. She was hired for a job. She got paid for 1 week. They made her continue to work. So she did steal some clothes, and she did steal some money to try to pay herself back and to try to get out of where she was. But she's like, okay, but I did it. But the accusation was that she stole a lot more than she actually did. And so once they grasped the facts, the prosecutors, they actually clustered up and they prayed for Rose, and they prayed for a situation, because she wouldn't be a candidate for a plea bargain because she wasn't guilty of what she was charged with. And you can't do a plea bargain with an innocent person. That's the person that's supposed to go to trial. But she would have had to have been in prison for at least another year before she even went to trial. And Easton, the lawyer's like, I can't stomach that. That's so unjust and so wrong. What can we do? So they all agreed that they would try to get things moving along. And she did own that she was, like I said, she had stolen, but she was also trying to get enough money to escape being trafficked. And so it was a legal hurdle. And what they did was they gave her a sentence with the plea bargaining, but it was a warning, a very severe and stern warning. And she had a promise to stop doing it and all of that, which she was more than happy to agree to. And so as they did that, and they, part of the whole purpose of plea bargaining is that the person that did it can own what they did and show remorse and turn around. Like, it's actually part of the gospel. The reason they do this is because there's an opportunity for that person and the grieved party, the person that committed the crime and the person that was hurt by the crime, for them to come together in a process of confession and forgiveness. And that's, of course, the best case scenario in a situation like this. And that was the purpose. That's why they're doing these programs, these projects in Africa and the one going on in Uganda. And so it embodies biblical principles of peacemaking by empowering the parties to work together towards a solution. And so Rose was thrilled to get out of being captured or being trafficked and being enslaved by the person who wasn't paying her to work. She was caught there. So anyway, I love the Beatitudes in Matthew 5, and I want to close this topic by reading this last verse in Matthew 5:9. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. And we're all called to be peacemakers. So it's good to be aware of this story also because there is definitely injustices going on around the world, and we're called to stand in the gap. So our last topic is birth mothers. So Mother's Day is coming up on Sunday. Mother's Day is such a weighty time. It's a day of great celebration for so many moms that wanted to be moms, that became moms, that have a good situation and are in healthy relationships with kids that are doing well and love them. That's the ideal. That's the celebration of Mother's Day. The celebration of mothers work so hard and they do so much unseen, everything for kids and to maintain a household and whatever. But Mother's Day is a very difficult time for, I would say, almost the majority of women. There are mothers, there are people that wanted to be mothers that never got to be mothers. There are people that got pregnant that had abortions. And after the abortion, they realized, often, many of them, that was a child. And they don't even know what to do on Mother's Day, except grieve. And then there's adoptive people that have been adopted, people that are adopting, people that are trying to. I have a friend right now, her daughter's going through IVF treatments, in vitro fertilization. And there's just all kinds of stuff around motherhood. So as we approach Sunday, and all over the world people celebrate Mother's Day, as we approach Sunday, approach it with the Lord in peace and know that there's a lot of people hurting. And how can each of us extend love? How can each of us extend blessing to those moms? I know my husband and I never got to raise kids. We did get pregnant twice, and I had 2 miscarriages. And we did try fertility treatments, and I did look into adoption. But timing with stuff and just the way everything happened, that was probably, honestly, one of my biggest heartbreaks in life. But now, I actually celebrate Mother's Day because God showed me, from His perspective, that this biggest longing of my heart could be my greatest sacrifice before Him. It could be the thing that I put on the altar where I said, I choose you more. I choose you more, Lord. I trust you. And so now every time I have a pang, and I still do get pangs sometimes, I just say, I love you more. And in that, it might sound simple, but in that, he fills a place in me by his Spirit, with his love, in his holding, with his fulfillment that I can't even explain. So I'm just telling you it's possible. If you're a woman who's had an abortion and you're just bleeding on the inside, I mean, just metaphorically, just tore up because you can't go back and make that right, God's forgiveness does that. You can be forgiven, and I release that to you right now in Jesus' name. Just repent, confess your sin. Lord, I destroyed this baby. But your blood is more powerful. And by your blood, I am cleansed and forgiven and set free. And redeem it, Lord. Somehow you can redeem it. And he can, and he will. So anyway, back to this story specifically. There was a woman named April. She found herself pregnant. And she was in a relationship, but it was abusive. So she's like, I can't have this baby in this relationship. And so she thought about an abortion, but then she's like, I don't want to make the baby pay because I'm not in a good place. So what can I do here? And she found Lifeline Pregnancy Resource Center, and they provided information for her. They provided a healing place to pursue an adoption. And so that's what she did. She adopted her baby to people that she got to pick, that she got to set up the parameters of the adoption. The birth mother gets to choose that, whether they want an open adoption, whether they want a closed adoption, all of that. If you're stuck, if you're pregnant right now, if you're hearing this, don't consider abortion, which is terminating the life of the embryo, the fetus inside of you, which is a baby. It is growing. Life starts at conception. And so if you're in that process, know that there are organizations and people like Lifeline and other pregnancy centers. You can Google, find a pregnancy center for adoption. And all these centers will come up. Most of them are Christian. Most of them want to protect life. And so they're good places. So what is birthday? What is birthday? What is Birth Mother's Day? It's the day when people celebrate those who have given birth and adopted their children out. They made the sacrificial choice to love this child inside of them enough to choose to give them to somebody else to raise up that would have been a better choice than them trying to raise the child in whatever situation wasn't super great that they found themselves pregnant in. It's courageous. It's definitely a courageous thing. They love their children. That's why they're choosing. And many of the women that are pregnant find themselves in difficult situations. Some are in difficult relationships. Some are young. Some are in abusive situations. Some, it's just, there's pain. There's relational stuff that's going on. There's financial stuff that's going on. And oftentimes, there's substance abuse issues. So if somebody's struggling with drugs or alcohol, if you go to a place, you find out you're pregnant, go to a place, a resource pregnancy center. They will help you stay clean. You can get in a program while you're pregnant that will help you stay clean and birth this beautiful life inside of you. And that life can be adopted to parents who desperately want a baby. And it's a gift. God, that's part of God's redemption in it. I love that. And often what is common is when the birth mother goes through a program like that and gets clean and adopts the child out, then they can live out that redemption and release it to others, and the testimony of their life continues on. So right now, there's only 2 sites that are birth mothers that observe Birth Mother's Day. And so this organization is saying, please help us expand the sites. Please help us honor women on this special day. And I believe Mother's Day is the 2nd Sunday of May every year. Well, Birth Mother's Day is the Saturday before that. So it would be the 2nd Saturday of May. So even this year, as it approaches, Mother's Day approaches, on Saturday, lift up prayers for those that are struggling. For single women who are believers and are not that are choosing purity, and they're not going to sleep with someone, and they're not going to get pregnant, but they really, really, really want to get married and have babies. And right now, that's not where they are, but their heart is hurting. Pray for anybody that you can think of, for anybody that God brings to your heart that's having a difficult time on that Mother's Day. So anyway, we bless the centers, we honor the women, we empower the pregnancy centers that are doing this work. And in Isaiah 66:13, we'll close with this. There's a verse about how God is with us in our grief. It says, as one whom his mother comforts, so I will comfort you. It's God's heart to bring comfort to you, to his people everywhere, so that we walk in the fullness of what he designed for us. So God bless you guys. Thank you for joining me on HSBN today. Thank you for engaging in and praying through these topics with me. And